welcome family. Tonight we're going to focus on one of the most controversial topics that we come across, and that is the abdominals, the abs. Getting them to show, it can definitely be, I'm telling you, man, it's not impossible, but it definitely could be a challenge. And I think a lot of people fail because they don't truly understand that. So it don't matter how many crunches, how many leg lifts, how many knee raises that you do, your abs will not show until you eliminate the fat around your area. And one effective way that I found that helps is to lower your intake of saturated fats. I know a lot of people don't understand the back of food labels or don't understand that. So I have here pea protein. In my opinion, I think this is a very good protein. It's low in saturated fats, low in sugars, and low in calories. It's definitely one of the proteins that I use in order to stay lean. But there are many different proteins out there on the market. So I'm just going to take you on a little field trip here on the back of this protein here to try to teach you and show you what I mean by saturated fat. So before I dive into saturated fat, I want you all to know that there are 4 different types of fat. You got monounsaturated fat, polyunsaturated fat, saturated fat, and trans fat. Out of those 4, the healthier fats are monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fat. The unhealthier ones, or the bad ones, are saturated and trans fat. As you can see on the this nutritional label, this protein has a total of 3.5 grams, in which 0.5 grams are saturated and 0 for the trans fat. Now let's pay attention to the top where it shows the serving size and the servings per container. As we can see, the serving size is measured in grams, which is 36, and that equals to 2 scoops. What it actually means is that it takes 2 scoops of this supplement to get the numbers that's listed for your calories, total fat, cholesterol, sodium, protein, etc. Now, if you was to do 4 scoops instead of 2, then the numbers would double for each one of those categories. So for calories, it won't be 140, it'll actually be 280. And it won't be 0.5 gram for saturated fat, it'll actually be 1 gram. Do you guys see how that comes into play? So it's definitely important to pay attention to the serving size when it comes to anything that you're eating or drinking. Now let's get back to the fats. So even though saturated are unhealthier than poly and the mono, you still will need them. I would recommend that you stay below 20% of your calorie intake. So for example, let's say if you were on a 2,000 calories a day intake, 20% of the total calories should come from your saturated fats. I want you to remember this, that lowering your saturated fat, it will definitely get you on the right track of eliminating the belly fat or to get your abdominal muscle to show. And if possible, please stay away from the trans fat, period. That's another discussion for another day, but the trans fat are very bad for you. So I hope this clears up a lot of confusion when it comes to understanding what the numbers mean on the back of the labels. So right now I'm about to show you just one variation of abdominal movements that I use. And also remember that when you're doing abdominal exercises, the only purpose for that is to strengthen your core. Your core is going to get strong. It does not allow them to be visible. All right, family. Thank you for taking the time to tune into my channel. Hopefully, this knowledge about saturated fat is just what you need to get the abs to show. So do me a favor, like the video, share the video, and subscribe to my channel. That way you can always, stay tuned for the latest for King Troy Fitness. Peace out. Love you guys.